All right, so do part 3 here. Um, this one we've got the service companies and the um, producing or service departments and producing departments, and it asks us to allocate them using the direct method, the step method using S1 first, and the step method using S2, which is based on repair hours first. Okay, so the direct method, remembering that we just use these, so that will be 400 there, and this will be 2800 there. S1 will be 160 divided by 400, that's 40% times 10,000, and that equals 4,000. And then we've got 240 divided by 400, that's 60% times 10,000 is 6,000. And then for department S2, we've got 2,800, so we've got 700 divided by 2,800, that's 1/4, times 40,000 equals 10,000. That's 14,000. And this would be 2,100 divided by 2,800 times 40,000. That's 3/4 or 30,000. So producing department 2 gets 36,000. Okay, so that's the direct method. The step method, doing S1 first. Okay, so we're going to allocate S1. So now we're going to have 500 employees, right? 100 plus 160 is 260. 200 is 500. And so S2 is going to get 100 divided by 500 times the 10,000. And that's going to be 20% or 2,000. P1 is going to get 160 divided by 500 times 10,000. That's 32% times 10,000 would be 3,200. And finally, 240 divided by 500 times 10,000. And that's going to be 48% or 4,800. Okay, so now we have to add the 2,000 to the 40,000 for S2. That gives us 42,000 that we have to allocate by 42,000. Now we just do it the same way that we did on the direct method. So it's going to be 700 divided by 2,800, but this time it's 42,000. So 1/4 of that would be 13,000. Let me check that just to make sure. Oh, I'm wrong. 10,500. That's why we check. All right. 10,500. Yeah, I did 20. I cut that in half. I did 26. It should have been 21. All right. So that's right. Okay. And then this one is 2,100 divided by 2,800 times 42,000. That's 3/4. So that ought to be 31,500. 21 into 28 divide 42,000 times 31,500. 31,500. So we add these together, we get 300. 36,300 goes to P2. P2. This is P1. And 13,700 goes to P1. So slightly less. And then part C, we do the same allocation again, but this time we're doing S2 first. So we're going to allocate this 40,000 up here. This 40,000 first to S1, P1, and P2. And so now we're going to use 200 plus these. We don't use that one. And so that's going to give us 3,000. 2,100 plus 700 is 28, is 3,000. So for S1, we're going to get 200 divided by 3,000 times 40,000. That's going to be 2,667. And so this one is going to be the 700 divided by 3,000 times 4,000. 40,000. And that's 9,333. I'm just rounding to the nearest dollar here. And then we get 2,100 divided by 3,000. That's going to be 70% times 40,000. Should be 28,000, but we'll check it to make sure. $28,000. All right, now we add this 2,667. We add to that the 10,000 for S1, gives us 12,667. So we're going to allocate that. Now we're back to this. Oh, can't see that. We're back to just using the direct method with these two. So 160 over 400 and 240 over 400. $5,067. 14,400 there. And then we get 240 over 400 times 12,667 equals 7,600. And we get 35,400. And that should be a little bit short there. That's right. That's right. That's right. Okay. Um, that's right. Maybe I added wrong. I did add wrong. That's why. That's why it's not checking out. I added wrong. 14. 400. Now that should add up. $49, 800. Oh, and this is, well, I had it wrong twice. So yeah, okay, now it checks out. So that's that one. That one works. Okay, next one. Durable Tractor Company manufactures small tractors on an assembly line basis. The units are started in Department Y. The work in process consisted of 400 units, 100% complete for materials, 20% complete for conversion. During the month, 800 units were started and 600 units were completed and transferred out. The work in process, January 31st, was 100% complete to materials and 40% complete to conversion. And we've got the cost for materials here, production cost report using the weighted average method. So we've got the beginning work in process. And that's 400 units. We have started is 800 units. That gives us units to account for. Is 1,200. Then we have our ending inventory. We don't know that yet. Transferred out was 600. We know our units to account for is 1,200. So we have 600 units in ending inventory. Now, we have materials, we have conversion, So they're transferred out. They are considered complete. If they are transferred out, they're 100% complete for materials. So we have 1,200 equivalent units for materials, and they're 40% complete, or 240 for conversion. So that's 840 equivalent units for conversion. Okay, next up we need the costs. We had materials. We had 100,000, and conversion. We had 25,000. Costs added during the period were 200,000 for materials, and conversion was 143. Add those together, we get 300 and 168. Hopefully I don't add wrong like I did last time. Last problem. Okay. And so now we need the cost per equivalent unit. We have 1,200 equivalent units for materials, so that's 300,000 divided by 1,200. And that would be $250 each for equivalent unit for materials. And we have 168 divided by 840 equivalent units for conversion. Would be 200. Okay, so our ending inventory is going to be 600 units times 250 equals 150,000, and 240 units, equivalent units, times 200 is 48,000. And so we've got 198,000 in ending inventory, and then transferred out. We've got 600 times 250 is 150,000, and 600 times 200 equals 120,000, gives us 270,000. Okay, so if we add these up, we've got 300 plus 168 is 468. 270 and 198 is 468. So that balances. So that one's correct. Okay, so this is another process costing. This one is FIFO, though. We're using the FIFO. So we've got beginning inventory, and that's 4,000 units. Percent complete. Remember, in FIFO, the top part does matter. So we've got materials and conversion. Percent complete is 80%. So that would be 3,200. For conversion is 40%. So 1,600 there. Then we have started. 28,000 units, so our units to account for is going to be 32,000. Then we're going to have the ending inventory. Ending inventory is 2,000 units. That means we had 30,000 transferred out. And that gives us our 32,000. Okay. So now the ending inventory is 60% complete with respect to materials. So that's 60% of 2,000 is 1,200. And it is 50% complete for conversion. So that's 1,000. Okay. Then the transferred out consists of two parts. All right. So you have the amount in beginning inventory. So that's 800 units to complete the materials. 4,000 minus 3,200 is 800. And then you have start to finish. 30,000 minus 4,000 is 26,000. Okay, same here. 4,000 minus 1,600 is 2,400. And then the same that we had here, the 2,600, right? Because that's start to finish. 26,000. All right. So our equivalent units for materials is 28,000 equivalent units. And our equivalent units for conversion is 400, 8, 9, 29, 400 for conversion. And yeah, all right. So that's the equivalent units. Then we've got to get the, so that's A, right? This is part A. Then we need part B. Is the cost per equivalent unit. So the cost per equivalent unit, we're going to take the 112,000 and we're going to divide that by the 28,000. That's going to be $4 per unit. This is part B. And for 88,200 divided by 29,400 is going to be $3 per equivalent unit. So that's part B. And then we need C will be the cost completed and transferred out. All right, so this is a little bit different. So the way you handle this is you take the beginning inventory and we're going to do materials and conversion. And so that's 44,000 there and 35,800 there. And then you add to that the equivalent units transferred out. So now you've got, now you're just doing this part, right, of the transferred out. So 26,000 plus 800 is 26,800 times the 4 is 107,200. Add those together, 151,200 for materials. And the conversion is going to be the 2,400 plus the 26, so 28,400 times 3 is 85,200. I didn't line those up good. Let me go ahead and line those up. $121,000, and we add those together, and we get 272,200. That's the transferred out. And then finally, the cost of ending work in process inventory. Now we go up here, we take the 1,200 ending equivalent units. So this was C, and then D. We're going to have materials and conversion again. So we don't have the beginning inventory like we did on the transferred out. We just have the 1,200 times 4 equals 4,800. And we have the 1,000 times 3 is going to be 3,000. And we add those two together and we get 7,800 for part D. Okay, that's FIFO. Okay, next one up, we've got Max Limited, produces kitchen tools and operates several divisions as profit centers. Division M produces a product that it sells to other companies for $16 a unit. It is currently operating its full capacity of 45,000 units a year. Variable manufacturing cost is $9 per unit. Variable marketing cost is $3 per unit. The company wishes to create a new division, Division N, to produce an innovative new tool that requires the use of Division B's or one very similar. Division N will require 10,000 units. Currently, Division N can purchase a product equivalent to Division N's from Company X for 15,000. However, the variable marketing cost can be avoided this transfer. Okay, so what is the transfer price? So obviously, the cap, the ceiling is $15 a unit because that's what they can buy it for. They're not going to pay more than that, right? The variable manufacturing cost, and they're not going to do their contribution margin. So their contribution margin is $16 per unit. So they want to do that, but they can get rid of that variable marketing cost, and so they would be the same at selling it at 13. So our floor is now 13. So they can negotiate a price between 13 and 15, and both will be uh, at 13 or 15. Both one or the other will be equally well off. Anything in between, they will both be better off. Okay, looks like we've got another process, weighted average method here. Okay, so we've got a beginning inventory of 20,000 units. We have units started and completed were 40,000. Oh, started. Gives us 60,000 units to account for. So down here, we know we're going to have 60,000. Our ending inventory, well, we have transferred out. We don't know the ending inventory. They didn't give us that. Transferred out was 50,000. And so now we know the ending inventory was 10,000. Okay, so there's that. Now, this is weighted average, so we don't need to deal with that top part. What we do need to know is the units, the July 31st, the direct materials are 100% complete, so that's 10,000, and conversion is 60% complete, so that would be 6,000. And if they're transferred out, they're considered complete. So 50,000. That gives us 56,000 there and 60,000 there. Now we need the cost per equivalent. These are our equivalent units. So now we need the cost per equivalent unit. So for materials, we have 54,000 plus cost added 120,000 is 174,000. And for conversion, we had 12,800. And conversion cost of 200,000 gives us 212,800. We now divide that. 174 divided by the equivalent units of 60,000 is $2.90. And 212,800 divided by the equivalent units of 56,000 is $3.80. So that's our cost per equivalent unit. Then we want the cost of goods transferred out. So that'll be 50,000 times 290 plus 50,000 times 380. If you wanted to add those together and just multiply by 50,000, that's fine. This is transferred out. is 145,000. And this is 190,000. So that's going to be 335,000. And the ending inventory is going to be the 10,000 for materials times the 290 equals 29,000. And for conversion, is going to be the 6,000 times the 380 right there. Is 22,800. So the total is 51,800. 356,800. Whoops, 386,000, right? Yeah, 386,800, 386,800. Yeah, they add. They cross check. Okay. Looks like another transfer price problem here for 18. Falcon Company is operated as a decentralized firm. Division Alpha produces a product that can be sold in the outside market at $35 per unit. The variable cost is $23 per unit. Alpha has the practical capacity to manufacture 6,000 per month and is currently selling 4,800. So they have 1,200 spare capacity. Division Beta could use Division Alpha's product in the manufacturing process. They would require 200. So we would have to get rid of 800 to our outside sale. The sales to Beta would not decrease demand to Alpha's product to outside buyers. Beta could use a slightly inferior product with no reduction in quality to Beta's finished product that they can purchase in the open market for $32 per unit. So what's the maximum price they will pay? 32, right? That's what they can get outside. What is the minimum price that would be charged? Okay, so they've got a variable cost of $23, and then they have the contribution margin that they have to make up, which is 35 minus 23 is $12 per unit, and they have 1,200 of capacity, so they have to give up 800 times 800, so $12 is 9,600. And we're going to divide that by 2,000 units. Is 480. So 2780 is the minimum that they will charge. What will the price? How will the price be determined? It will be negotiated. So at 2780, Division Alpha is no worse off. At $32, Division beta is no worse off. Anywhere in between, they are both better off. Okay, all right. So another processing costing system here. This is a FIFO. And so we can just jump in with the beginning inventory. Inventory consisted of 600 units. And remember, this is FIFO, so this top part is important. 80% complete for materials. 80% of 600, I think, is 480. $480 is right. And for conversion is 45% complete. Is 270. Okay, then during April, 2,000 units were started. That gives us 2,600 units to account for. Now we come down here, our ending inventory. Ending inventory is 500 units that were 70% complete for materials, so that's 350, and 30% complete for conversion, so that's 150 equivalent units there. Okay, they didn't tell us how much is transferred out, but we know 2,600 is here, so that has to be 2,100 transferred out. Now, again, FIFO has two parts on the equivalent units that transferred out, right? So we've got what it takes to complete this. 600 minus 480 is 120. 600 minus 270 is 330. Okay, so that's what completes the 600 that were in beginning inventory. So now we have 2,100 minus 600 is 1,500 that go from nothing to completed in the month of April. And that's going to be true for both materials and conversion. So now we add these up and we get our equivalent units. 350, 120, and 1,500. 1970 equivalent units, and 150 plus is 1980 for conversion. Okay. Yeah. All right. Very good. Okay, so this is part A right here, right? Yeah, they're not labeled A, B, and C. What is the cost per equivalent units? Okay, now remember in FIFO, we only use current cost to get the cost per equivalent units. During April, 7,600 for materials, 7,600, this is part B, divided by 1970. Is 38579. I'm going to do it to 4. If you just do it to two decimal places and round, I will count that right. That'll be good enough. And here we have 26,000 for conversion, and that's divided by 1980. Is 13, 13, 13. Okay, just repeats itself. Okay, so that's part B. What is the cost of goods transferred out? C, transferred out. You're going to have the beginning inventory. 2,300. Then you have the equivalent units. The equivalent units to finish that, so that's 120 times 385.79. If you can add those together and just do 16,200, that's fine too. Is going to be, I'm just going to round that up to 463, and then 1,500 times 385.79 is 57.87. Okay. For conversion, our beginning inventory was 3,800, excuse me. Then we're going to have 330 times the 13, 13, 13. Is 4333, and 1,500 times 13, 13, 13 is 19,697. And we add those together. That'll be a 0. That'll be a 3. 18. 8 and 9 is 7. 27, 37 for conversion. 5, carry 1, 14, 15, carry 1, 7, 8. 855, then we add these together. 83, carry 1, 20, 35, 36, 380. So that's our transferred out. Finally, they're asking for the ending inventory. So we've got materials and conversion. Materials are going to be 350 times 385.79 is 1350, and conversion is going to be 150 times 13, 13, 13. And that would be 1970. Add those together. Yeah, 3,220. 3,220 plus 36,380. 39,700. And we've got 2,300 enter plus 3,800 plus 7,600 plus 26,000 plus 39,700. Yeah, 39. 39,700. So we balance, and so we're good. Okay, this will be the last one in this group. One more group to go. This is already at 52 minutes, so it's probably long enough. Valamont manufactures a single process that goes through two processes, mixing and cooking. The following data pertain to the mixing department, and so our work in process. Okay, so we're doing the weighted average method. This has got two. This has got two materials this time. Okay, great. Okay, no problem. So we're going to start with the same that we always did, the beginning inventory, and that was work in process inventory. September 1st is 38,000 units. Started into production was 86,000. So I get 124,000 units to account for. And then we have our ending inventory. We're told that's 24,000 units. We know we've got a balance with 124. So that means we transferred out 100,000 units. All right, again, now with the weighted average method, we don't have to worry about that top part. But this time we're going to have material R and material S and conversion. So we're going to have three categories this time. The conversion is 40% complete on September 30th. So 40% of 24,000. is 9,600 equivalent units. Okay. Material R is added at the beginning of the mixing department. So all material R is complete. So 24 there. Material S is added in the mixing department, but not until units of product are 30% complete with regard to conversion. And we have conversion, which is 40% complete. So that would be 40% times 30%, 0.4 enter 0.3 times. That would be 12% complete. So 24,000.12 times is 2,880. Okay, if it's transferred out, they're complete. So 1, 2, and 3. So this is 124,000 for equivalent units for material 1. This is part 2. Material S is 102,880, and number 3 is there. Okay, and so now, so that's our equivalent units. Calculate unit costs using the weighted average method. So material R, we go up here, we've got 104,600 plus 233, 920. So 338, 520. 338, 520 divided by equivalent units of 124. Is $2.73. So that so this all is part 4, cost per equivalent unit. For material S, our beginning inventory was 135,920, and we added 215. So that's going to be 920. So 350,920 divided by the equivalent units of 102,880. $3.41 there, and for conversion costs, we had 184,996 plus 474,796. So our total costs were $659,792, and we divide that by the equivalent units of 109,600. $6.02. Okay, so that's part 4. Grab some scratch paper here. So we want the cost of units completed and transferred out, and calculate the ending work in process. Okay, so the transferred out is going to be 100,000 times 273 right here, plus 100,000 times 341 right there, and 100,000 times 602. And again, if you want, you can add these together and multiply them out. Fine, it'd be a little faster, but so that's 273,000. That's going to be 340,000 and 602,000. Add those up. We get 1,215,000 is the cost of goods transferred out. Ending inventory. Okay, it'll be 24,000 times 273. It'll be 2,880 times 341, and 9,600 times 602. So that'll be 65,520. And 57,792. And we add those up. 3 is 3. 1421, 1623, carry 2 is 13. 133,133. Okay, so that's part 3 of our exam review.